Thanks for joining us for OU Nightly. I'm Mady Daddario.
And I'm Deluca. We begin tonight with the threat of winter weather.
We could see snow in Norman tomorrow, and meteorologist Gard is tracking the weather for us. Hannah, I hear parts of the state are already in a winter weather advisory.
Yeah, Mady, we are in a winter weather advisory in some parts of the state, but we're also actually already seeing snowfall in the northern counties of the state right now. Some of that trying to make its way further into central Oklahoma, but these winter weather advisories are in effect for tomorrow into early Thursday morning, and that's because of another round of snowfall tomorrow. But right now we're about 25 degrees colder than this time yesterday. Tulsa almost 30 degrees colder because of that cold front that moved through last evening. And that's one of the reasons that we're seeing snowfall in our northern counties, along with this strong northerly wind, 15 to 20 mile per hour winds right now. Certainly feeling chilly out there, even though central Oklahoma is still staying pretty sunny. Most of us seeing temperatures in the 30s. You can see where that front hasn't cooled off our temperatures much, but up towards the panhandle where that snowfall is, we are seeing temperatures below freezing. But for tomorrow, we do have a chance for snowfall, trace amounts in central Oklahoma, but I'll have more on the snowfall chances for tomorrow coming up later in the newscast.
Tensions continue to rise in Ukraine, and today we know the U.S. State Department has announced it's reducing staff levels at the U.S. Embassy. CNN's chief international correspondent Clarissa Ward reports from Kyiv.
The Ukrainians don't want to contribute in any way, shape, or form to panic. They're worried that the local population here will get nervous if they see that the U.S. is starting to evacuate some non-essential personnel and family members. They're worried that that projects an image potentially that there really is Russian aggression expected imminently. But while everyone is waiting for the diplomatic process to play out and hoping that it bears some fruit, there's no question that very real preparations are being made on all sides for the possibility of a military conflict. NATO has just announced that it will be sending additional resources, ships, fighter jets to deployments of NATO in Eastern Europe. That has already been greeted by the Kremlin with a negative tone, saying that this is increasing tensions. The Kremlin also grousing about what they called informational hysteria and accusing the Ukrainians of building up military personnel and hardware along the border with the Donbass region, which is where those pro-Russian separatists are based. It would come as no surprise to many, though, that of course the Ukrainians are building up their presence along their border there, because that is exactly where many fear some type of incursion may occur if and when it does so. So I think it's a sense of people still hoping that the diplomatic efforts might bear some fruit, but preparing in the meantime for the worst as well.
Officials say the decision was made out of an abundance of caution. However, Ukraine's government is not pleased, calling this decision premature and a display of excessive caution.
The University of Oklahoma's campus-wide mask mandate is set to expire on Monday. This semester, when students returned to campus, they were met with the mandatory 2-week masking mandate in their classrooms. Officials and students are now rethinking their decision to lack COVID protocols.
I will for sure still be wearing a mask because I think the mask mandate is necessary, considering so many of the hospitals and other health services are already at occupancy and being overrun right now with the sheer amount of cases, and I feel like removing the mask mandate is just going to worsen those effects.
With the Omicron variant on the rise, OU's chief COVID advisor, Dr. Bratzler, encourages students to continue masking up indoors.
And as OU decides what to do next on its mask mandate, COVID cases are still on the rise in Oklahoma. The State Health Department reports there are almost 9,000 new cases today, with over 133,000 active cases right now. More than 13,000 Oklahomans have died from COVID since the start of the pandemic. Medical experts say the best defense is to be fully vaccinated and wear a mask when in a group setting.
COVID is taking a toll across the state, especially in the classrooms. Tonight, we know there's a student in Norman who was physically assaulted at school, and his parents say the shortage of teachers could be to blame. OU Nightly's Zaria Oates shares the story of an 11-year-old autistic student at Alcott Middle School.
As soon as he got off phone, he's like, Miss Johnson, hi, this is Principal Bruno.
This is Adrienne Johnson, Joshua Johnson's mom.
Just want to let you know everything's fine. Josh is fine. We had a little hiccup. He had a verbal altercation with another a student in this classroom.
Josh's mom says that the assistant principal, David Bruno, assured her that the altercation was verbal and the situation had been handled.
So I was like, okay. He's like, yeah, no, nobody got hit. I think he was just frustrated.
Josh came home the day of the assault and explained in his words what happened.
When he walked to the door, he's like, Mama. He came in my room, threw all the stuff on the floor, and he just had his head like this. And he's like, I got bullied today by a big kid, and I was crying so hard.
But his verbal skills just didn't allow his mother to understand the intensity of the situation. Then this video surfaced. The video, now viral on Twitter, brought Joshua support from elite athletes and other notable figures inside and outside of the Norman community. Bob Stoops, Trey Young, Porter Moser, and even Cameron Curl, starting safety for the Washington football team. Catherine Bishop, the president of the Oklahoma Education Association, says the teacher shortage may be to blame.
And that's kind of how a lot of districts have dealt with the teacher shortage, is they push more of our students that have disabilities into the general ed classroom.
The support has given Josh's mom the space to start healing, but she says the fight isn't over and hopes people continue advocating for Josh. Zaria Oates, OU Nightly.
Josh's mom continues to post updates on her Facebook account as she awaits further information from the school on how to prevent this situation from happening again. There's been a new development involving an NYPD officer who was shot on duty last week. Allison has the story and the rest of the news from around the world. Allison.
Thanks, Mady. A New York Police Department officer has died after being shot in the line of duty last week. Officers Mora and Jason Rivera were shot while responding to a domestic disturbance in Harlem. Mora has been in critical condition since Friday, and Rivera died at the scene. A vigil was held for Officer Rivera this past Saturday, uniting New Yorkers against the recent violence.
Violence won't divide us. Right. It will unite us. Yes. We are going to unite around this issue.
Friday. And popular right-wing radio show host Alex Jones virtually met with the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th insurrection on Monday. Jones claims to have pled the Fifth Amendment almost 100 times to prevent himself from committing perjury. He says he told the committee that he discouraged the violence and tried to stop people from entering the Capitol.
For testimony from witnesses like.
And Pfizer and BioNTech have started clinical trials for an Omicron-specific vaccine. The study is evaluating for the safety, tolerability, and the level of immune response. There are 1,420 participants in the study from ages 18 to 55. The companies announced that the study will not affect the production of the current vaccines. And Neil Young has announced he wants his music immediately removed from Spotify due to the spread of vaccine misinformation. Mady, back to you.
Recently, sugar doesn't seem to be the only thing costing teens a trip to the dentist office. Find out why gum disease is becoming more common among young adults when OU Nightly returns.
Plus, Tesla stocks closed at a loss yesterday. Next on OU Nightly. Oklahoma teenagers are turning to vaping these days, and dentists says is causing problems. The Oklahoma Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust says 31% of Oklahoma youth is currently vaping, and dentists can see signs of gum disease as early as 13 years old. Unfortunately, even the experts don't know what ingredients vapes really contain.
Well, just the chemicals that go into your body, you know, nobody knows what they are, really. They can just cause significant damage to your teeth and to your gums.
Regular dental checkups can help spot gum disease in its early stages.
A well-known businessman's stock ownership takes a tumble and mortgage prices are on the rise. Mecca Thompson has more in Money Matters.
Elon Musk's holdings of Tesla stock lost nearly $30 billion this year after yesterday's close. The Tesla co-founder doesn't receive any base salary or cash bonuses from the company's sales, leaving his earnings only through stocks. 2022 started rough, but he's expected to make a full recovery from the loss and gain billions of dollars in stock awards this year.
And while many are in the market for a new home, rising mortgage rates are pressuring buyers to act fast. The constant low inventory of homes and an increase in demand has pushed prices higher than ever before. If you're wanting to buy a new residence, it's encouraged to move quickly due to shortages that will take years to meet demand caused by the pandemic. And there are many work-related effects of the pandemic, but America's job market is progressing slowly. Texas, Arizona, Utah, and Idaho have regained all losses since November due to in-person education and the return of some working in person. After record numbers at the start of the pandemic, nearly all states have recovered at least half of those lost jobs today. You know, it makes me happy to see that the job market is moving in a positive direction. Mady, Tyler.
Thanks, Mecca. After weeks with no precipitation, Cleveland County is officially under a burn ban. OU Nightly has more details on the ban and what is not allowed coming up.
And OU Weather's Hannah Gard has what you need to know about the potential chance of snow heading to Norman tomorrow.
Yeah, guys, bouncing between that fire risk, and we're also seeing snowfall chances right now and into tomorrow. We could see some flurries here in Norman, and I'll have those totals coming up after the break. Looking at snowfall right now across the northern parts of the state, just a bit of cloud coverage making its way into central Oklahoma, but this will start to taper off as we head into later this evening. But you can see we have winter weather advisories in effect for our far southwestern counties there in purple. This is for tomorrow's chance for snowfall, and those are in effect until early on Thursday morning. Here's what we're looking at for snow chances. We could see 2 to 3 inches of snowfall in our far southwestern counties near the Red River. Lawton included in that inch to 2 inches. And towards central Oklahoma, as we head towards OKC and Norman, that's going to be more trace amounts, about less than an inch. But we do have the potential to see those flurries as far north as Tulsa as we head into Wednesday evening. Now for Norman, what this looks like is in the late afternoon hours, we could start to see those flurries. The heaviest snowfall chances will be after it gets dark tomorrow evening till around midnight. Then we'll start to see that taper off. And if we look at the timing here, around Wednesday afternoon, we'll really start to see that widespread snowfall from the southwest moving into central Oklahoma. And you can see again those totals reaching possibly 3 inches in some areas of the southwest. Now looking at the radar, mostly cloudy throughout the day, and we could see those widespread flurries really starting to move into the I-35 corridor as we head into the later evening hours tomorrow around 9 or 10 before that moves out by Thursday morning, giving us a fairly clear day after that. But right now, seeing that sun setting over the skyline, certainly feeling a bit chilly with those strong northerly winds. Wind chill in the 20s for most of us, starting to push its way farther south. You can see where those temperatures are well below freezing is where we are seeing that snowfall. But for tomorrow, most of us seeing temperatures in the 30s. You can see where that freezing line is. We'll see that snowfall start to kick off in the late evening hours tomorrow as it pushes across the state. Again, tomorrow snow chances, but then you can see we'll start to warm up a bit. We will see a slight cold front Thursday into Friday, but by this weekend, look at that. Temperatures once again in the 60s. We'll see plenty of sunshine. So what we'll have to worry about then is going to be that fire danger. And then as we head into next week, we are looking at another potential for snowfall as we head into the later parts of next week. But we'll have more on that later on in the week. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Hannah. Cleveland County is now under a burn ban until February 7th. Effective immediately. The Moore Assistant Fire Chief says the ban comes as a result of high winds, low humidity, and no precipitation since early January. For the next 2 weeks, outdoor fires of any kind, including burning trash or compost, will be prohibited. Outdoor cooking with appliances will be allowed. Anyone found guilty of violating the ban could face up to a $500 fine, up to 1 year in prison, or both. Moore Assistant Fire Marshal Darren Sigmund says the ban is crucial for the entire community.
They're really helping us to be more safe. They're helping us to keep the public safe and to keep the fires at a minimum, because when the wind is high or even elevated over 15 miles an hour, it's difficult to catch those fires.
And it could change over the next 2 weeks if precipitation occurs, but it could also be extended. And OU men's basketball is looking to finally break their losing streak.
And the women's team is looking for redemption heading into Bedlam. Briggs Bates has the lowdown on what's happening in sports.
That's right, guys. We got an action-packed show full of basketball. The OU men and women's team seasons are in full swing. Stay tuned to hear this week's matchups.
Cowgirls, 7:43 to go first quarter. Williams pulls up and Mady knocks down a jumper on the left side.
Hello, welcome back to OU Nightly. I'm Brigg Bates, and it's time for sports. The Sooners men's basketball team is coming off a tough loss to the Baylor Bears at the LNC this past weekend. Porter Moser and the boys are struggling in Big 12 conference play with a 4-game losing streak. The Sooners are hoping to get back in the win column as they head to Morgantown tomorrow to face the Mountaineers. Tip-off is at 7 p.m.
You can't miss the opportunity. We're putting our head down, driving into the Baylor's defense of 3 guys and missing the opportunity when he was open and then picking it up and jumping. And we just got to learn to kick to when teams are, the defense is these good. We got to pass when he's open.
The Oklahoma women's basketball team is off to a hot start this season by leading the Big 12 Conference with a 16-3 record. Coach Jenny will be heading into her Bedlam debut as the Cowgirls make their way down to the LNC tomorrow. The Sooners are looking for revenge as the Okie State Cowgirls knocked them out of the Big 12 tournament last season. Tip-off is at 6 p.m. The Oklahoma City Thunder hosted the mighty Chicago Bulls last night at the Paycom Center. Gilgeous Alexander dropped 31 points and 10 assists while Lou Dort added 16 points for the Thunder. The Bulls came out hot, building a 28-point lead in the third quarter, but the Thunder weren't giving up yet. OKC lit the fourth quarter on fire with a dominant scoring performance, but the Bills withstood the fierce Thunder rally to win 111-110. The NFL divisional playoff weekend was one for the record books as the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills faced off in an OT thriller. In the final 2 minutes of the game, 25 points were scored and the lead changed 3 times. Josh Allen and the Bills drove down the field and scored with 13 seconds left in regulation, but that was still too much time for Patty Mahomes. The Chiefs struck a 49-yard field goal and finally won the game in OT. The LA Rams took on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this past weekend in yet another wild playoff game. The Rams dominated the Bucs in the first half, going up 20-3. Many thought the game was over, but Tom Brady does Tom Brady things. Brady and the Bucs rallied back, scoring 24 points in the second half to tie the game up with 42 seconds left. Stafford wasn't going home yet as he led the Rams to a last-second field goal to win the game 30-27. The San Francisco 49ers have now become the first team in the NFL to have emotional support dogs for the players. Meet Zoe and Rookie, the 2 French bulldogs who are now part of the 49 family. Several players have since gone their for personal dogs to help with stress and anxiety. I think I might get an emotional support dog myself. What about you guys?
You know, I might have to be right there with you with the emotional support dog. And the best part is, if your emotional support dog runs away, an animal rescue organization in England found a more leisurely way to catch your runaway pooch.
That is as long as you have a drone and some sausage. Find out when OU Nightly returns.
I'm Emily Faith at the OU Nightly Update Desk. The U.S. Supreme Court justices will be reviewing admission policies at Harvard University and the University of North Carolina. These policies present race as part of the admission criteria. Lower courts have ruled in favor of these policies while others believe they are unfair. A Supreme Court decision is expected to be announced by June 2023. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Emily. One volunteer organization might have saved a lot of pet owners a trip from chasing their dog down the street. That is, if you have the right tools.
After slipping her collar, Millie the dog was on the run near some mudflats in England. After failing on foot and in kayaks, the volunteers were able to guide her home with a flying sausage.
And it looks like weather might finally be here to stay. Hannah, I know you mentioned a chance of snow tomorrow. What's the rest of the week looking like?
Yeah, guys, this is for tomorrow. We are seeing pretty significant accumulations in some places to the southwest. We could see up to 3 inches along the Red River there. So definitely maybe a bread and milk situation down there. But towards central Oklahoma, we're looking at more trace amounts. This model is definitely going heavy with the snowfall totals. Norman, less than an inch is most likely, and that's probably going to be the case up to at least Tulsa. But we certainly could see those slippery roads tomorrow. But once we get into Thursday, we'll see another cold front moving through. It's not really going to drop our temperatures to the degree that last night's did. And then after that, we're really rebounding. We'll be back up into the 60s, seeing plenty of sunshine. And what we'll have to worry about once again then is going to be that fire weather, guys.
Thank you for watching OU Nightly, brought to you by the Gaylord College of Mass Communication on the campus of the University of Oklahoma.
We'll see you back here tomorrow night, live at 4:30. Good night.
Good night.